What is shaking, everybody? Friday, you know how we like to do Fridays. First, let's start off by thanking our sponsor, Fieldwork, the official non-alcoholic beer of your San Jose Sharks. So for whatever reason, you want the beer taste, but you don't want the calories, you don't want the extra octane, Fieldwork non-alcoholic beer, your official non-alcoholic beer of the San Jose Sharks. So, you know, we do Dr. Bob and we do Dennis, and we talk football handicapping. This time we've had one of my all-time favorites. I used to talk to him weekly when I was doing the radio. Haven't talked to him in a while, and I'm so happy to welcome him to the show. Almost a half a century at NFL Films. He breaks it down for us. Greg Cosell. Greg, what's going on? It's great to see you.
Tom, it is so good to see you. It's been a while. You know, it's funny doing the lead, and I forgot you used to look like that. You know, what was that about 50 years ago? I'm, you know, of course.
Oh, long about when you started in NFL Films. Yes.
There you go. There you go. I even remember when you played in college. That just shows you how far back I go.
Oh my gosh, I look at that, and then people always give me crap. They're going, "Hey, you can't push a mayor around like that. You get arrested."
Right. There you go.
Well, I did what I did.
Yeah. Well, no, it's really good to see you. I'm glad. It's so good to be with you.
It's awesome to have you. It really is. All right, let's get right to it. And obviously, let's start with the quarterbacks. I wanted to start with Mac Jones because it seems apparent to me, and I could be dead wrong on this, but it seems apparent why Kyle Shanahan liked him coming out of college. He's a guy that isn't afraid to push it downfield, can make the throws that Kyle Shanahan wants him to. He's not overly risky with the ball, but he's not afraid to put it in the spots where the ball may be in a little bit of peril to get 15, 20 yards down the field. He's tough as nails. We've seen that.
Yeah.
What have you seen from Mac Jones in the time that, because it's weird. Yeah, it's right. He goes from New England, and then it's like, can this guy play? And then all of a sudden he gets in Shanahan's system. You're like, oh, wow. Okay. This is what people saw coming out of Bama.
You know, it's funny because the more I do this, and I've been doing it a long time, obviously, it's my 46th season, and I've been fortunate that, you know, being taught the quarterback position by people a lot smarter than I am, but I try to keep learning. And I've come to the conclusion that so much is about how you're coached. Because let's face it, Mac Jones is not Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes in terms of, you know, just pure ability. So now you get into how you're coached and the scheme that you're in. And the Kyle Shanahan scheme, as you know, is so choreographed, and everything is tied to the drop, the footwork, the route concepts, the timing. But that's who Mac Jones is. That's how he has to be successful. He really can't play any other way and be successful. So in some ways, it's the perfect coach system scheme for who he is. And therefore, he can look very, very good because he's a rhythmic player. He has to hit his back foot and the ball has to come out. And I thought, by the way, this past week, I know they lost, but I thought he played a terrific football game. I mean, I know he threw 2 picks and, people can feel that's bad, but there's reasons for that. Obviously, there always are. But I just think that he's playing really well because this is who he is. And this is how he has to play. And it really works beautifully with the Kyle Shanahan philosophy.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned the 2 picks. I thought the second pick was one that the coverage kind of fooled him, but I thought at that point in the game, he was trying to push it downfield anyway. If I remember correctly, that might have been on a 4th and 6 after Pooney false started on the 4th and 1.
Yeah. But it's funny you say that. Maybe, again, I haven't heard him speak about it. He doesn't need to, but they went to kind of late rotation to cover 2. And is it possible he was fooled? Yes. But I also thought that because Jamal Dean, who made the pick in cover 2, he's normally the flat defender, but there was no threat in the flat. And of course the situation dictated why sit in the flat and cover grass, So what he did is he sunk. And I think that Mac may have thought, because there's that outside void in cover 2, that he could get the ball up and over Jamal Dean. Now, I don't know if that's what he thought, but when I saw that went through my mind that maybe he thought he could get the ball into that outside void, kind of the whole shot, as we call it. And obviously he didn't, but who knows? I mean, he's not going to say, but that's what I thought when I saw it on film. Yeah,
that could be. I mean, well, that's a smart play because I've seen a lot of guys cover grass, Greg. It's like it's not going anywhere. There's no sense of just standing here in the grass.
It's funny. I worked for years, and he's still one of my really good friends, Matt Bowen. You might know who that is. He played
Yep.
in the league, and he's out of Chicago, and he works for ESPN, does a lot of radio. He's really smart, and we used to talk about that all the time because he was a safety, and he just said, he would always talk about covering grass, just like you said. He said, "What's do something. Don't just stand. No matter what don't just stand there." Yeah. And a lot of guys. It's funny how you say that because when I watch tape and it's zone coverage, I'm always blown away by guys that are just standing there.
Well, you know what? It reminds me so much. I mean, the principles are similar in basketball, where you can play a zone defense in basketball. You don't want to just be standing in an area where no one's at. Now you have to be responsible for that area, but you can move closer to other areas to give help to other areas because they might be trying to overload that part of the zone. So you want to be there to help weak side or in the paint, wherever. But if you're just standing in your area, then you're not doing anybody any good. And I think, I think football is very similar where that's a concept. You try to flood a zone. And if you're flooding a zone, you leave two guys over there doing nothing. Well, go over there and help out a little bit.
It's funny you mention that because one thing I actually, this struck me when I did the book I did with Ron Jaworski years ago, and I got a chance to talk multiple times with Dick LeBeau, one of the all-time great defensive coaches. Yep. And, one of the things that people don't think about with football, but they see with basketball and hockey, for instance, is football is still a game of confined space. It's a bigger field. So when you're watching the game, you don't think of it as confined space because you can't see all 100 yards. When you're watching basketball, for the most part, you can see the whole court. When you watch hockey, you can see all the ice. So you know immediately, oh, there's a certain amount of space. But football is still a game of confined space. And if you don't want to be covering an area where there's nothing. You're just standing in space where there's nothing. And it always strikes me. And of course, that has a lot to do with how past games are structured and put together and how zone defenses are structured and put together, because there's always stress points in a zone defense. And obviously, offenses are trying to get into space and voids because there's always voids. But it's still a game of confined space.
Yeah. Well, look, let me put it nicely. There are players in all sports that aren't as smart as other players. And other players can figure this out. They see what's happening. Some players are like, you tell me what to do, I'll do it. But they can't think outside those parameters, where other players have that instinct to be able to play and know what they're doing without putting their team at risk. Anyway, let's
but that's a great point. Some guys just see it. I mean, look, you played basketball. There's guys, without getting into, obviously the great ones, the Larry Birds of the world, the Magics, they just saw Wayne Gretzky in hockey. They just see it differently than your average person.
Yep. No, Chris Mullen, I played with, just saw the game differently. It slows down for him. They just see things. I mean, like Fred Warner. Unfortunately, the Niners won't have him for the rest of the year, but he's a perfect example of that.
That made me so sad. It's funny. I've been doing this a long time, as you know. So, I'm jaded, I think, in a good way, in the sense that I don't overreact. Wow, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen, or that's the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm not, I've seen a lot. But when Fred Warner got hurt and I saw that just like, because he's one of my favorite players to watch just because of the way in which he plays the game. He plays the game exactly the right way. Not that he needs me to say that, but just someone who's done this a long time, watched a lot of film, he just does it the right way.
I agree. It was just such a bummer to watch him go down, and not just because of all the dominoes that are falling for the Niners. It was like, that's a guy you tune in on Sunday to watch. Like, just everything about him is a reason to watch the Niners. And now you're not going to be watching him this year. But I wanted to get to the running game. That's a staple of Kyle Shanahan. Run the football and run successfully. It doesn't matter who's out there. They run it. They have not run it with a damn this year. Is how much of that is just poor line play? Maybe they don't have the threats to go downfield, so everybody's jamming up close to the line of scrimmage. What have you seen in their lack of ability to run the ball?
Yeah, I mean, again, without knowing, I'm not charting all the offensive linemen each play like Chris Foster is, and our coaches are. So what I might say now, maybe if he was listening, he'd say, "Oh, you're wrong." That's possible, but I think the interior three of their O-line has not played particularly well this year. I think Pooney is going through a little bit of a second year, kind of welcome to the NFL. It's not the same, it's just and he'll get through it because he's a good player. But, he struggled a bit last week for sure against Tampa. I think he struggled. I don't think Brendel's having, he's been a really nice player. He's not the most physically gifted player, but he's been a very, very smart player. I don't think he's playing at the same level. And then at left guard, they're playing the rookie Connor Colby from Iowa, who I think is playing like a rookie. Some good reps, some poor reps. And I think that's to be expected. But I don't think there's anything wrong with McCaffrey because we've seen him when he gets some screen passes, get out, and he looks fine to me. I know a lot of people want to say, gee, what's wrong with Christian McCaffrey? I don't think there's anything wrong with him. The one thing that hasn't showed up as much this year, and I don't have a brilliant answer for this, Tom, but, they have not gotten to the perimeter in the run game with the same success they've had in the past. And I don't have a brilliant, profound answer for that, but it's there on tape. They're just not those perimeter runs are not doing what they used to do.
Yeah, well, I'll give you one possible explanation. George Kittle's been out. And if
That's
George
a great
Kittle's in there.
No, I basically should have said that. And see, it's funny you say that because one thing when you have a great tight end as a blocker, and I'm not sure people think about the run game like this, but offensive linemen do. When you have a tight end that can one-on-one block a defensive end or an outside linebacker in a 5-2 front, one-on-one now. He doesn't need help. That changes everything about your run game. And I'm really glad you brought that up. I should have said that. I was just thinking about the interior. But that is a big, big deal. And from what I understand, he'll be back this week.
Yeah. That's why we did the show forever together. You help me, I help you.
Right.
And I think that's part of the goal line problems too.
Yeah.
They don't have a rushing touchdown. You have a guy like that down there who's a threat, not only in the passing game, but a blocking game. So it'll be fun to see him back on the field and hopefully Pearsall soon and hopefully Purdy soon. And man, you want to talk about a match.
I know they've had a lot of injuries. I mean, it's a shame about Pearsall. I really liked him, as you know, from when we, did the show. And he was coming on clearly looking like a really good player. I mean, they need these guys back. I guess Purdy, I don't think it's supposed to go this week either, right? I think it's Mac Jones again, from what I gather.
From what I've read, yes, but I guess Purdy was limited. He did practice, but he was limited. So I'm not sure.
We're all limited, We're all limited.
We're all limited. There's no doubt about that. What have you seen? God, what was I going to ask you? Oh, from Brian Robinson Jr., because I thought when he came over, he'd be a guy that'd be able to spell McCaffrey. That hasn't really happened. And I get it from a coaching standpoint. You always go into games with plans. Like, I'll talk to Steve Kerr all the time and say, where were you trying to keep Steph Curry's minutes? He goes, probably around 34, 35, somewhere around there. That'd be good. But then you get into a game that's really close and you want to
win the game. You want to win the game. Yeah.
Oh, 37 will be okay. Maybe 38. Maybe I'll push it a little bit more. Well, that's the same thing I think with McCaffrey. Like, ideally, you'd like the split to be a little closer with him and Brian Robinson Jr., but the games are close and you want to win. You want your best players out there.
And the receiving factor, because right now they're down receivers. And Brian Robinson is not that guy. I mean, he's a tough physical inside runner. I always liked him coming out of Bama. I thought he actually did okay with Washington, and he can do that. He can grind it away inside. But with Pearsall out, with Ayuk still out, they've had other issues at receiver as well. Kittle being out. They need McCaffrey on the field because of the receiving element. I mean, I think we've played how many games? 6?
6, yeah.
Yeah, he's got something like 450 receiving yards. I mean, it's crazy. I think it's something like that. I don't spend a lot of time studying just stats, but I know the receiving element with McCaffrey becomes even bigger when all these other players are out, maybe if these guys get back, maybe they can, for 2 possessions or 3 possessions a game, they can put in Brian Robinson because they have their more fuller core of receivers. But right now they need him as a receiver.
Yeah. It's interesting. When you first came on, Greg, you were talking about quarterbacking. And I started thinking about the great quarterbacks of all time and just how different they are. And we talk about coaching, because I've always wondered what Marino would look like in a Bill Walsh system if he had played there. Yeah. Well, of course, we'll never know. But just look at Marino, Elway, Montana, Breeze, Manning, Brady, Mahomes, Allen. I mean, there's more than that. How different they all are.
Yeah.
And how they get their success from different ways. They all have something obviously in common. They're great leaders. You know, they're accurate to a certain extent. They're really smart. They probably really study, really dig into the playbook, all that stuff. But the quarterback is a position where you look at somebody and go, God, I mean, you really don't have to be one. You could be a whole bunch of different things and be good.
Yeah, but I think the two things that probably, and I'm these are the Cliff Notes versions, because you're right, there's probably 10, 15 things, but I think that two things probably are necessary. You need to be able to be a good decision maker, and you need to be able to throw the ball accurately. Ball placement has to be good. Now, does it have to be 10 plus? No, but you can't miss routine throws. But it's funny you say that. As you were talking, and talking about how, Dan Marino would look at a Bill Walsh offense. It reminded me, I got to know Bill Walsh well, which is probably one of the highlights of my career. And I remember him telling me about, he coached Dan Fouts in 1976. He was either the quarterback coach or the OC for the Chargers. And Fouts to this day says it was Walsh who turned his career around. And then we know what happened with Eric Coryell. Yeah. But Bill told me that, we didn't really throw with Joe Montana a couple of routes that I could throw with Dan Fouts, because Joe couldn't throw those routes as well as Dan Fouts could. And if you say that to people who are just casual fans, they probably think, oh, you're out of your mind. Joe Montana is one of the 2 or 3 greatest quarterbacks of all time. He could do anything. But see, this is where coaching comes in. You have to understand, and this from being a player, there's even some great players. They're not great at every single thing. It's just, that's not the way it works.
Nope. Great coaches look at their talent, figure out what you can and can't do, and try to accentuate the positives and keep you away from the negatives. That's just it. Now, if you have too many negatives, then they can't do that, and you're not going to be on the team very long.
And then you're going to be selling insurance again in a couple of years.
You're going to be sitting in your backyard doing a podcast.
There you go.
I know you got to run, but real quick, I wanted to ask you this about the Eagles, who it's interesting to have the record. They have the record they do with the what is the score differential? I think they're negative score differential this year. And here's what I've seen. I'm curious what you've seen. Everybody's talked about the running game and this and that. I go, well, here's the bottom line: their offensive line and defensive line isn't as good as it was. I mean, that was the team. That was, Barkley got all the, whether it be whoever, but the offensive and defensive line was really it, and it's just not as good as it was.
No, and that, you kind of nailed it. And it's funny. I was talking the other day with a guy who coached in the league for years. He doesn't coach now. And that's the first thing he said. He said that team was built in the trenches. He said O-line dominant, D-line dominant, and everything started from there. And I can just tell you from watching the tape, because obviously I watch their tape every week because I do stuff here in the Philly area. Their O-line has not been very good. I mean, we're just expecting that it's going to be great because of what it's been, but it's not been very good at all. And then on defense, they lost Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, 2 players that may not be all-stars and all-pros, but really good players. And it's just not been as good. And there's not been room to run. And the reality is, and I know it's hard for people to accept this, but people in the league know this. It's not a controversial statement. Jalen Hurts is really kind of a piece of an offense. So if those other things are not working, he's not really that lead dog kind of player. And like I said, people don't understand that because he's won a Super Bowl and he's been in 2 of the last 3, and he's a good player. That's not my point. Just like we were talking, he does certain things really, really well, but other things he doesn't do as well. And when the team isn't functioning as a team, he's not the guy that can lift it up.
Yeah. All right, you're my boots on the ground there in Philly. How people feeling about the Sixers this year?
I haven't quite. When does the NBA season start? Is it this coming week?
Next week. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when I'll start to take notice of things. I'm not even sure who's on the roster right now. I mean, they had so many injuries last year. I thought maybe they'd call you up to see if you were available.
Please, they're not that desperate. They'll bring in a cadaver before they bring in me, Greg.
God, I mean, they were playing, and some of those guys. Look, you know how it is. Some guys get a chance, and even if they're not draft picks or they're not thought of highly, they go out there and they play, and they're good.
No, all those guys are good. Well, we'll get a feel for it. Embiid will give you 50 games whether you want him to or not. That's about what. That's about
Well,
what
we'll see how all
for.
that goes. You know, it's been tough. I mean, unfortunately, he gets hurt a lot, and you know
Yep.
how it is. If a main guy gets hurt and you're not sure when he can play, how much he can play, God, that's got to be hard on a coach.
No doubt. If he wants to play, a lot of different factors that are going on there in Philadelphia. But I do like Nurse, and I think if they're healthy, they could surprise in the East. Greg, it's so much fun to have you on. It's so much fun to talk to you.
Tom. This was awesome.
Well, you take care. Have a great holidays and everything, and maybe we'll catch up down the road somewhere. But again, I really appreciate your time.
Hey, well, you know what? The Super Bowl's out your way this year. Hopefully, I'll get to see you for sure.
Oh, that's right. We might be over there, and if we're over there, we'll definitely hook up there.
Yeah, it'd be great to see you. Yeah, for sure. Well, all right, Tom. This was awesome.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Right.
I appreciate it. There you go. The great Greg Cosell, NFL Films, 46 years NFL Films. I mean, I love talking to that guy every single week. It's so much fun to talk to. This is like, I don't know what's going on here. We're not raining, but this thing's like dripping on me. Hey, I don't know what water is on there. I mean, I guess it's dew. Is dew on the canopy here? I don't know what the hell's going on, but there's something happening. Dr. Bob's going to be joining us shortly, and we'll get into some college games. And Dennis Ranahan will join us. We'll get into some NFL games. Already 1-0. Dennis had the Bengals last night, and I did go with the Bengals against my better judgment. I did. I told him no more Bengals, no more Titans, and everybody seems to want to play the Titans and Bengals. That's the thing. If you're a gambler and you do now, I don't really consider myself a gambler. I like wagering, and I think I'm fairly knowledgeable about it, about the process and stuff. But it's like if the number is what the number is, and the number says take it, then you take it. There's a lot of times you got to take some bad teams. You're just like, oh, son of a bitch, I got to take that team. That team's god awful. I don't want to take that team. But yeah, I didn't watch it, so I was out last night. Birthday, Lori took me to surprised me with a little Shoreline concert. We saw the B-52s and Devo. It's been a while. I don't know if I want to say I saw Devo way back when, but I can't guarantee that. But Devo is super cool. I love Devo. They're so odd. I got a cool documentary on Netflix. You haven't seen it. It's pretty good stuff. I actually watched that when I was over in Germany. We're over in Germany. We're like, hey, a Devo documentary. When you get some downtime, let's grab a couple of beers and watch the Devo documentary before we go out for the evening. So that was kind of fun. Seats were good. And what is it about concerts? There you go. And they wore both those things, not together though. They had the black outfit on with the lid, and they came out later with the jumpsuit on. Yep, Whip It, Mongoloid, everybody, it's a good thing. Everybody, so yeah, they were good. They were really good. And the B-52s, they got some songs that I like. They ended with Rock Lobster, my favorite song. That was probably from the early 80s, maybe even late 70s. I'm not sure. But solid concert. But what is it about concerts that people feel like they can walk down the aisle and stand in front of you and watch the concert? Whereas a basketball game, football game, baseball game, people don't walk down the aisle and then just stand in front of you. Like, I never do that at a sporting event. Concert, people feel like, I can just kind of cruise around. And I had to ask some dude to get out of the way. He wasn't blocking me because I'm 6'8", but he was blocking Lori's view. I'm like, hey, pal, beat it. Is this your seat? You know what they always say, too? I just want to get a little closer. Well, buy fucking better seats then. It's a pretty simple process. You want to get closer to the concert? Buy better seats. Don't buy shitty seats and then come down to the front. Sorry. Anyway, I believe we have Dr. Bob getting ready to join us. We'll do a little college college football. I mean, it's a pretty good. I got a pretty good slate this week. Hello, Bob. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you? I heard you
I'm doing
bitching
well.
about some concert experience.
Not just at concerts, people think they can like get their seats and then walk out of their seats, wander around, and stand wherever the hell they want to stand, like they did last night. And again, they were standing in front of me. Went and saw B-52s and Devo, and they weren't bothering me because I'm 6'8". I could see over them, but my wife was having a hard time seeing through them. So I said, kindly leave, kindly move. I don't want to have to curse. Actually, I may have once, but and they moved. But I was like,
yeah, you're a gentle giant.
I'm a gentle
but
giant.
nonetheless,
But
nonetheless, a giant that looks like he's been part of the Guardians Angels, from the 70s.
That's what everybody says. Hell's Angels.
Hell's Angels. That's what it is. Hell's Angels.
Yeah, there you go. But that's what I was saying. Nobody does that in sporting events. They don't do that. Nobody leaves their seat in a sporting event and just stands in front of somebody to watch the game. But in concerts, everybody feels like, for whatever reason, it's okay. And I did tell them, because everybody always says, well, I just want to get a little closer. I'm like, well, fucking buy better tickets then. If you want to get closer. That's a simple. It's easy.
Very
Spend
simple.
more money, get closer, and you can see the band a little bit better. Anyway, let's get to some football games. Bob Stoll, drbobsports.com. I always say, if you want to be a smarter college football fan, pro football fan, go to the website. It's a ton of free stuff on there. There's some leans on there. I think we're going to get to a couple of those today. Those have been profitable over the years. Obviously, the paid stuff where you get the strong opinions and the star-rated plays, but the leans are great if you're just a casual wager. Maybe you want a lot of volume. Maybe you just want to see if his opinions line up with your opinions. Well, you can go there and be a smarter football fan. It's drbobsports.com. All right, let's go to one of those games that we were talking about. One of the games that'll be worth watching this week, Ole Miss visiting Georgia. That opened under a touchdown, now over a touchdown. And I'm not sure exactly what to make of Georgia. I mean, they didn't look great in the first half against Bama. And look, this is all relative because Bama's a good football team. Looked much better in the second half. They looked dead in the water against Auburn. You should never look dead in the water against a Jackson Arnold quarterback team. That should never happen. And then Arnold fumbles at the goal line. It's like somebody turned on a light switch, and the game was completely different the rest of the way, and Georgia dominated the rest of the way. Haven't seen as much of Ole Miss this year, so I'm curious to get your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, the line I think went back down to 7, but it might.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah, it might pop back up to 7.5. These teams are actually pretty even from the line of scrimmage. I wasn't impressed with Gunnar Stockton, Georgia's quarterback, last year when he got in, and I haven't been that impressed this year. I mean, they're a better than average offensive team, but just half a yard per play better than average, which works out to maybe like 3.5 points better than an average FBS team offensively. It's not really what you expect from Georgia. They run the ball okay. He's okay as a passer. He doesn't really stretch the field as much as past Georgia quarterbacks have. But Mississippi defense doesn't get the credit they deserve. I mean, they were really good last year. They lost a lot of guys to the NFL. They're good this year, too. They're 0.7 yards per play better than an average defense. So Mississippi's defense is better than Georgia's offense. So it really comes down to the other side of the ball. Mississippi has maybe not the offense they've had the last couple of years, but they still have an elite offense. They've always had that in their Lane Kiffin. They're 1.4 yards per play better than an average offensive team, averaging 7 yards a play. Georgia been pretty much the same as that defensively. They're 1.3 yards per play better than average defensively. So these teams really, it's just strength against strength here. And these teams are really close overall from the line of scrimmage. Now, Ole Miss likes to run the ball. People think, oh, they got this wide open Lane Kiffin offense, but they've always run the ball more than they've thrown it. That's not going to work against Georgia. Georgia defends the run better than any team in the country. And the way to beat Georgia is their pass defense is not that great, actually, just a little bit better than average on a national scale. I don't think Lane Kiffin is going to just run the ball into a brick wall. I think he's too smart and probably realizes, like, hey, as much as I like to run the ball, no one runs the ball in Georgia. And there are stupid teams that try to do it, and they just don't get away with it. I don't think Lane Kiffin will do that. I think they're like, all right, we have the advantage throwing it, let's throw it. So I think so there is a way to beat Georgia, and I think Lane Kiffin will do that. So I do think they have an advantage, even though these teams are about the same. I do think they can take advantage of Georgia's relatively bad pass defense. Not bad, really, but compared to the run defense, it's bad.
Yeah.
Now people are like, well, Georgia's got revenge. They lost by 18 points last year at Oxford. Revenge is not always a reason to bet a game. In fact, Georgia applies to a 56-116 against the spread revenge favorite situation. So they're actually in a negative revenge spot. There are such things as that. I think, basically Mississippi has confidence. They beat them last year.
Yeah.
I think they feel they could probably beat them again. I made it Georgia 30-27. And I if you're getting 7 points, that's a lean. So profitable bet. Leans are profitable bets. A lean on Mississippi +7 or more.
All right, let's go to the Holy War. I don't even know. Do they call it the Holy War anymore? Have they changed the name of that too?
Yeah, I still think they do.
I know it's not Civil War anymore.
Maybe not.
Like,
maybe not officially, but I think they.
Yeah, I mean, it just we've gone so soft. Yeah, we can't call it anything. Red River Rivalry. I still call it Red River Shootout, and damn it, I'm going to continue to call it Red River Shootout because that's what it was. That's what it was. No, god dang, no, I'm not gonna. No, they can't have that. They can't have my nickname rivalries or my rivalry games. They can't have that. You know what? I watched the Arizona game. Unfortunately, I wish I wouldn't have last week. Where it just, I've told you, I'm not. The Arizona offense to me is, yeah, but their defense is solid. I feel the same way about BYU. I mean, Bachmeier to me is kind of okay. I mean, he runs the ball a lot. He's not a dynamic runner, but he's like almost. I don't know what he is. I was going to say a guy that runs for Army, but usually they're fast. He's not even that fast. So he's kind of a guy that throws a little bit, runs a little bit. I like Utah. I love Whittingham. They got trounced by Texas Tech, but Texas Tech's a really good. I think they're one of the best football teams I've seen. Yeah, I've seen this year. So I've seen it at 3. I thought about taking Utah minus the 3. I don't know if I'd lay the 3.5, but I'm not that sold on it. I'm curious what you think about the game.
The line is basically 3.5 everywhere now.
Okay.
You might touch 3 at some spots. BYU is sneaky good offensively. They're 0.6 yards per play better than average. They face some good defenses. And so relatively, they've been 0.6 yards per play better than average offensively. Utah's defense has been 0.6 point yards per play better than average. I think Utah's defense, people have a higher opinion of it than they should, but you got to remember they faced UCLA before the Bruins changed coordinators, and they also faced Arizona State last week when Sam Leavitt was out. So, Jeff Sims averaged like 2 yards a pass play, coming in.
Yeah.
So they've had some breaks facing teams at the right time. So their defense, I adjust for all that stuff. So their defense is the same as BYU's offense. So it really comes down to the other side of the ball. I love Devin Dampier last year at New Mexico. His offense coordinator from New Mexico last year came over to Utah, brought Dampier with him. The offense is good. They're 0.8 yards per play better than average offensively, which is a really good offense. However, BYU's defense is 1.0 yards per play better than average. So they have an advantage, actually. They've only given up 4.5 yards per play to a collection of teams that would average 5.5 yards a play against an average defense. And they've held every single team they faced to 24 points or less in regulation. And I think that could be the case again here. So from a yards per play perspective, BYU has a little bit of an edge. Utah should run more plays because they tend to control the ball more. So they'll run about 10 more plays from scrimmage. So overall, Utah has a slight advantage from the line of scrimmage. I have BYU with better special teams. It's really kind of a toss-up game. I ended up going BYU by 1, 25-24, and a lean on BYU at +3.5. So I think it's a decent play.
Okay, very good. We mentioned Jackson Arnold earlier. Let's get to a game that you like that features Jackson Arnold. And I didn't know much about – I didn't watch Missouri football because they didn't really play anybody until last week against Bama. It's a pretty good football team. I mean, that's a good football team. It took Bama all of like 60 minutes to get that job done last week. Really good win on the road by Bama, by the way. And I'll ask you about them after this game. But This is a game that just completely flipped. It went from Missouri +2 to Missouri -2. Now it might be minus 1.5. And again, I know you're not a Jackson Arnold guy. I'm clearly not a Jackson Arnold guy. Not at all. And I mean, I like Missouri, and I think I know that's who you like as well. But what are the reasons you jumped on Missouri here?
Yeah, one of the reasons that the line moved from +2 to being favorites because I released Missouri as a bet.
Yes.
When I release games, the line moves. So
yes, it does.
They
yes,
were +2 when I gave out Missouri as a best bet. I wouldn't make them a best bet, like a big play now at -1.5. At -1, that's a good play, and they still be a play at -1. -1.5, I certainly still lean with Missouri. Yeah, like you said, Jackson Arnold. I mean, people were like, well, last year, we've talked about this before. Everybody thought, well, Oklahoma's got some injuries at receiver. That's why Arnold's struggling, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, yeah, but he was like third worst in the nation in yards per pass play last year, I think ahead of Massachusetts and Kent State. And I was like, aren't Oklahoma's backup receivers better than the receivers at Kent State and UMass? I mean, shouldn't he be better than that? And I think Auburn's like, yeah, he's still a 5-star recruit. Let's get him in here with our receivers. We have great receivers. Yeah. Auburn does have great receivers, and Arnold still sucks. I mean, he's terrible. He averages 4.6 yards per pass play with NFL caliber receivers. He holds on to the ball too long and takes a lot of sacks. And the only thing good about holding on to the ball that long and taking sacks is he never throws interceptions, but it doesn't really matter if you're always 3rd and 20. I mean, it's a mess. I mean, he's so bad. Auburn runs the ball well. I mean, they have a good running team. If they just had an average quarterback, they'd be a really good team. But I don't know why they don't switch quarterbacks. I mean, he's terrible. Nonetheless, Missouri, really good. I mean, I mentioned it last week. I said I leaned with Missouri +3, and they ended up pushing against the spread. But they outgained Alabama 330 yards at 5.9 yards per play. Alabama had about the same amount of yards, 331, but only 4.5 yards per play. So they outgained Alabama by 1.4 yards per play last week. That game could have gone either way. I think Missouri's really good. The defense is elite. The offense is better than average. They run the ball. Yeah, I mentioned Auburn being a good running team. Missouri is one of the best running teams in the nation. So I just think defenses are about the same between Auburn and Missouri. Clear offensive advantage for Missouri. Clearly better offensively. -1.5. Yeah, I mean, I still value on that. So Missouri is still the play, even though the line switched.
All right, and how much? I've always wondered this, Bob. Well, clearly, points, because when you buy a point, you got to give up 110, and I don't recommend it. I'm just going to use that as an example.
Yeah, it's worth 109. It's worth 109. Yeah. So
okay. So what is going from one?
If the book allows you to do it, it's probably not good for you. Think about it that way.
Well, that's what I always say. When we go to Vegas and there's a new table game, I'm like, you think they're doing that for us? No, they're not doing that for us. They're doing that for them. Everything Vegas does is for them. They don't do it for you, period. But
I do it for you. I do it for you, Tom.
Yes, you do. I know you do. And thank God. I appreciate it. But obviously, points are different values, right? From 3.5 to 3 is different than 1.5 to 1. How much is that crossover? Let's say if you go from +1.5 to -1.5, how big a deal is that?
That's about 4%, probably.
Okay.
You went from Missouri being like a 58.5% bet to about a 54.5% bet, which is what they are now.
Okay, and just for comparison, what's the percentage going from 3.5 to 2.5?
About 6%. I mean, that's a big bump. 5.8, something like that. So you can have a 50% bet at -2.5. And if you're getting, then all of a sudden you're getting 3.5, that becomes a 56%. But then it's a bet. If you think the line should be 2.5 and it's suddenly +3.5, that's NFL too. That's almost an automatic. That's almost an automatic bet.
Yeah. And is 3 as important as it used to be with the advent of the 2-point conversion and everybody going for it on 4th downs? How much has that changed everything?
Not quite as much. It's a couple, about 1.5 to 2% less valuable than it used to be, but still.
Okay. Got it.
But then again, the teams can, try to get to 3. They always try to get to 3. You know, if they're if they're if they're down by 4, down by 5, and they instead of kicking it to get down by 4, then they try to go for
Yeah.
It's still but they don't always make it. It's not as likely. So it's a little less valuable than it used to be back in the old days, but still valuable.
Tell me how crazy I am for thinking this. This may be old school, maybe not, but I don't chase points until the fourth quarter. I'm not going to try to get it to 3 or 7 or whatever in the second quarter or early third quarter, because if I miss it, now I got to continue to chase points. And maybe at the end of the game, I could have kicked a field goal to tie the game. And now I'm down 4 or 5. I got to score a touchdown. How do you look at that? Do you go by the chart always?
Nah, I think the same as you. I mean, maybe middle, 8 minutes left in the game, you start worrying about that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. If you're down by 5 and you kick an extra point to get down by 4 instead of going for 2, what if the other team kicks a field goal? Now you're down by 8 instead of down by 7. I mean, you could decide later to go for 2. You don't need to do it right away, and you need to score again anyway. Well, if we get down by 3, then all we need is a field goal. Yeah, but if they kick a field goal, I mean,
no, I know. I always think of
point conversion. Are they gonna? I really do think you wait, till the end.
Now I got to ask you this, because I got 2 more games I want to get to, but because this one always flummoxes me. Down 14, fourth quarter, you score a touchdown. Now everybody's going for 2. Yeah. I guess the theory is you want to know exactly where you stand, and if you miss it, then hey, okay, we know where we're at. I'm like, yeah, but why don't you just go for 1, and then if you want to win the game at the end of the game, you can go win the game, but you have the choice to tie it without going for a 2-point conversion. I that one I don't get, but how do you see that one?
I think the theory is if you score 2 touchdowns, down by 14, score 2 touchdown, kick extra points, you go to overtime, then it's a coin flip anyway. By going for 2 and making it, you really put the pressure on the other team. Now you just need a touchdown, and there's no tie, there's no overtime. I think it is the way to do it, honestly. I mean, there's guys that study this stuff. I think that is a smart play to go for 2 first. And like you said, you want to win the game. You either make it now or make it later, but you don't go to overtime, because overtime's even at least you put it in your hands rather than flipping a coin. They get the ball first and score a touchdown, and you don't even get a chance. So I think that's what coaches like, is it's in our hands. We either make the 2 now or we make it later, but we're not going to overtime.
Yeah,
I think that's what
I'd go for it later. I wouldn't go for it sooner, but whatever. Yeah. Let me get to the Tennessee-Alabama game, the 3rd Saturday in October. Alabama, I don't know if they've been a different team since Jam Miller's come back. Look different. They've looked different to my eye. Maybe they're the same. They got a great receiving core. Williams, isn't even the guy. Bernard's really the guy that Simpson goes to. Simpson's been really good, and they've kind of jumped. They've jumped not only right back in the playoff picture, like squarely in the playoff picture. How do you see this one? I mean, 8 seems like a lot of points, but when I looked at it, Alabama seemed to be the side to me, but I'd probably be just a watch game.
I think it is a watch game. Jam Miller's only averaging 4.6 yards a run, so he's not like he's making a difference. I mean, they haven't really been able to run the ball that well with or without him. But Ty Simpson looks great. I mean, I think Florida State, even though they lost the last 3 games, Florida State is a very good team, and I think they're going to crush Stanford this weekend. So losing at Alabama, at Florida State in game 1, first of all, Florida State, I think, is still a very good team. The only really bad game they played was last week. When they lost to Virginia, they totally outgained Virginia, and they lost the next week. They relatively played well in that game. It was just last week's game that Florida State did not play well. But you go into that game, Florida State's got new coordinators on both sides of the ball. Alabama doesn't have a real idea of what to expect, and that's hard to prepare for. So I think that was kind of a really bad setup for them to open the season. And you've seen now what they are, and Ty Simpson's the Heisman favorite, and I think that's pretty legit. I mean, he's averaging 8 yards a pass play against mostly good defenses, and they have a good offense overall. The problem, also pretty good defense. The problem with Alabama. I mean, they have a really good pass defense. But the last 3 weeks against SEC teams, Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, they allowed 7.3 yards per running play the last 3 weeks. I mean, it's just been
Wow.
Missouri could run it, Vanderbilt ran it, Georgia ran it on them. I mean, Josh Heupel loves to run the ball. He's a lot like Kiffin. I mean, you think wide open Tennessee offense, but they also run the ball more than they throw it. And I think, great, we'll run the ball. Why not? Why are we going to throw into Alabama's secondary, which is really good when everyone's running Alabama? Let's just run the ball. So I think Tennessee will be able to move the ball. Tennessee's got a really good defense too. They're kind of misled by Tennessee's allowing 32 points against FBS teams so far this year. But there's a lot of plays being run. I mean, there's a lot of possessions. There's an extra 2 possessions a game because Tennessee's pace on offense is so fast. So the 32 points a game they're allowing, mostly to pretty good teams, is a little enhanced by the 2 extra possessions per game that their opponents are getting. Tennessee's only given up 5.1 yards per play, which is better than average. They've faced teams that would average 6.3 yards per play against an average FBS defense. So they're very, very good defensively. And also they played Syracuse when Angeli was the quarterback. So, they face some good offensive teams, and I think they have a really good defense. So I think it's going to be a good game. The math came out Alabama by 8. I mean, that's what the line is. I don't really see an advantage here one way or the other. I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee won the game if they just ran the ball 50 times for 300 yards and controlled the clock, and they have a better than average defense. I just don't think it's a game to bet at all, but a game to watch.
All right, let's get to the NFL. Niners and the Falcons. You got to factor in another loss for the by the way, what is the point value for losing Bosa versus losing Warner? What are their point values?
It was close. Bosa was nearly 2 points. At the time, I think I probably adjusted 2 points for him, and Warner's 2 points.
Wow.
He's maybe the best linebacker in the league. Coverage. And the thing is, it's not just tackles, not just run. I mean, he's probably the best coverage linebacker in the league. Shuts down opposing running backs or helps with the tight end. And it's a big deal. So the Niners go from being a pretty good defensive team at the start of the season. Now they're without their 2 best defensive players. They're going to be probably a little bit worse than average defense going forward. So that's a problem. It's hard to really forecast. Atlanta's not great offensive. They can be good. Bijan Robinson's great. Quarterbacking is Penix is up and down. Hard to know. I mean, they got shut out by Carolina 3 weeks ago. So people are like, wow, they just beat Washington. They beat Buffalo. Man, wow. They just lost 30-0 the last time they went on the road. So to Carolina. So it's really inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get. I do think Atlanta's defense has been better than what was expected of them. Whether that can hold up or not, hard to say. I have them as rated as a little bit better than average defensively. I don't think they're going to continue to be quite as good as they've been. But I think it's really hard to forecast this game without knowing. And Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall. I think Pearsall will probably play. I think it's trending toward him playing. Who knows about Purdy and Kittle? And I hear the talk, and you probably hear it a lot in the Bay Area. Well, Mac Jones has been great. Let's roll with Mac Jones, even if Purdy's healthy. And that's just kind of foolish thinking. I don't know if you're, thinking the same thing, maybe. And I'm just calling you out.
I try to tune it out for those people who think.
Here's some numbers. Like Brock Purdy averaged 7.6 yards per pass play last season, which is elite. This year, he was averaging 7.6 yards per pass play. Mac Jones has done great for a backup quarterback, but he's averaged 6.6 yards per pass play this season. That's a yard per pass play worse than Purdy's average since the start of last year. That works out to about 4 points a game. So getting Purdy back makes a huge difference. If they get Purdy back, whether Kittle plays or not, if this line stays at -3, right now it's -2. If it stays at -3 or less, then I'm looking at the Niners as a bet. I don't think they're going to bring Purdy back unless he is ready to play his normal level. And they tried that once, didn't work. So if Purdy's going to play, I think he's ready. And then there's certainly value on the Niners at -3 or less. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
If he doesn't play, then I really have no interest. I think 2.5 is probably about where the line should be.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it.
Yeah, Nick Wagner, a VS fan, just said that's what it looked like. They were both limited in practice, but is trending toward Purdy sitting one more week or sitting another. It doesn't say one more week. So Mac Jones
that's
playing.
That's what the spread is saying. That's what the market's telling you. If Purdy were actually 50-50, I think this line would be 3 instead of 2.
No.
So I think I think the market is telling you the same thing. It's probably going to be Mac Jones again this week. And I don't think it's a game worth really betting.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And for those people that think Jones over Purdy, again, I try to tune him out as fast as possible. I just can't. I can't be infected by that silliness, Bob.
Yeah,
I'm a serious human being.
You are very serious.
Hey, real quick, when you lose a coach mid-season in college, this isn't. I mean, I'm talking about James Franklin. I'm not asking particularly about the Iowa-Penn State game, but when coaches get fired in college mid-season, what does your databank say as far as how that affects teams?
Anecdotally, don't have the hard numbers, but I've been doing this for 38 years. I think this works in a few different ways. I think the first game, those teams tend to cover. The same thing is the first game after an NFL quarterback goes out. The team also tends to cover because the defense suddenly is like, we really need to step it up this week. And they get fired up. The defense gets fired up and rallies around the backup. That lasts for usually 1 week. And then reality sets in. So I think you get the same thing this year. What? UCLA? We're good all of a sudden, you know? And almost every team that's had a fired coach has come out and been better right away. It hasn't been the case for Oklahoma State necessarily or some of those teams. But I think teams with, like Penn State has legitimate talent. I think actually you may or may not, you've read my stuff enough to know I'm not a Drew Aller fan.
No.
And I think him going down, because he doesn't throw the ball down the field. The offensive coordinator is a genius. He made the Kansas offense average 40 points a game for 2 years. I mean, with Bean, and Daniels at quarterback. Daniels is fine. He might be an NFL backup or something like that. But Bean ran that offense great. Like everyone runs that offense great, except for Drew Aller, who doesn't throw the ball down the field. Maybe the new quarterback for Penn State will start actually running the offense the way it's supposed to be run. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Penn State started really scoring some points. Maybe not against Iowa or Indiana or Ohio State, who they have the next 3 weeks. But if they get through that onslaught, if they can average 20 points a game against those guys, when they start playing the back end of their schedule, they're going to start lighting it up. I have a feeling. So we'll see. It's all relative, but I think Penn State's offense could be better going forward relatively than they've been with Aller. So we'll find out.
And I should end every segment that I do with Dr. Bob with these words of wisdom for everybody out there. Unless you have a really good reason, don't bet against Kurt Signetti.
There you go.
I should end every show with that. You did. I did not have a good reason. I just bet it because I wanted to, and it was in Oregon and their former Pac-12, and I got what I deserved. At least I knew I was done at the end of the first quarter. I go, this game is over. There's no way they're covering 7.5 or 8 points. Not going to happen. So look, I got what I deserved. I knew what I was walking into. I walked into it anyway and got my ass kicked. So there you go.
Yeah.
I'm passing along the wisdom to the people out there. You
have the knowledge of my database telling you he's 74% lifetime as a head coach against the spread. You're swimming upstream. Why do that?
And I said, screw that database. I'm going to go do this. This is going to be one of the 30%. Guess what? It wasn't.
No,
and it wasn't even
quite.
It wasn't even close. And there's the site right there. If you want to hop on drbobsports.com, a lot of really cool stuff on there. College football, NFL football. Again, there's a lot of write-ups on a lot of the games. There's a lot of leans on there.
And go to the free analysis.
A lot of free stuff. So go there, become a smarter football fan. Again, even if you don't wager, it's good stuff. You just become smarter about the sport. So always appreciate it, Bob. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of people, and I've heard this from some people who don't even bet, but they found out that my NFL write-ups are super detailed matchup. There's a lot of matchup analysis on the NFL
a lot of stuff.
And they go, man, I use this for fantasy. Like, oh, I just found out that this team is number 3 in the league in defending slot receivers. Oh, well, maybe I'll sit my slot receiver who's playing that team. You know, there's a lot of really good detailed matchup analysis on the NFL write-ups. So even if you're into fantasy, you might pick up a thing or two each week just reading those write-ups. So
that's a great point.
Stuff.
No, that's a great point because a lot of people into fantasy. Again, read, learn, enjoy. Bob, have a great weekend. We'll do it again next Friday.
All right, buddy. And don't bet against
Bob.
Signetti.
Appreciate it, man. Don't unless you have a good reason, and I don't. No. Those are the words I'm going to end every show with. See you, Bob.
All right, man.
I did it anyway because I'm an idiot. I really am. Our next guest, Dennis Ranahan from Quox High Sports, PigsFootball.com, with the dramatic chair turn. He's like the Godfather. He's like the Godfather. Turns his chair into the camera.
I just have to. I got it written down because I want to make sure I get it accurate, Tom.
Okay.
I don't consider myself a gambler. I just bet on games. Tom.
Yes,
Tolbert,
exactly.
10-17,
exactly.
25.
Now here's what I think of gamblers as people that are trying to make a living at this, trying to win a decent amount. I just try not to lose too much, and that's why I have guys like you on, guys like Dr. Bob on, and I try to mix those in because I do like to handicap games myself, but I also know my limitations. And when I've done it myself, I end up losing because my impulse control is pathetic. So I have a finite number of games that you give me, and that Dr. Bob gives me, and then I'll mix in a couple myself. Like last week, nobody recommended Oregon. I go, hey, let's try Oregon.
When that game started, I looked at it and said, well, I'm going to agree with Tom here. I'm taking Indiana. So thanks, Tom.
Yeah, you should. You should. Remember, if you don't have a good reason, don't bet against Kurt Signetti. And I didn't have a good reason, and I did anyway. But, this is more kind of a game, the Niner-Falcon game, that I agree with Bob with the numbers. But I think this is a game that I see more when we talk about motivation and we talk about a team everyone needing to be at their best and knowing they need to be at their best or they're going to lose. I kind of see that. You lose a game in Tampa, no shame in that. I lose taking over the interview now. It's like she's doing the handicapping. So no shame in that. They could have lost that game whether they were healthy or not. But now you come back 4-2. You don't want to be 4-3. Atlanta's coming up a huge game against Buffalo at home, Monday Night Football and everything. And the Niners know that everyone needs to buckle this thing up because if now they got to compensate for the loss of Warner. So it's one of those games where I think everyone's going to be as focused as they could be. Everyone's going to be ready to fire. And I like the Niners here, just from a motivational standpoint. Everybody better be on their P's and Q's, or you can get embarrassed on Sunday Night Football. So I don't know how you see it, but this is one I'm probably going to be on the Niners here.
Yeah, I quite frankly don't see it for this reason.
Okay.
I agree with you from a motivational standpoint. I also know that when we talked a couple of weeks ago about losing Bossa, we said, well, now they just have one impact defensive player left.
Yeah, exactly.
And now he's gone. And so I think the loss of Fred Warner is huge. I'm a fan of Kyle. I think he'll put together a game plan to take advantage of whatever they have left on offense or whatever they get to work with here. Are you into this, Lulu? Are you
Lou wants to. Lou wants to know what's going on Sunday
Got
Night
the ear
Football.
right up here. Wants to hear about the Niners.
She
Falcons.
wants to know what's going on.
So I in this situation, I see the motivational side for the Niners, but because their win total at 4-2 is still a notch above where I think their overall talent is, that concerns me. If they were 2-4, then I think they'd be in a better position to take on the Falcons. At 4-2, and I guess that's pretty much what the Falcons' record is too, or something close to it. That I don't see an advantage here. I think Atlanta's a real good football team. That's my concern, Tom. I think Atlanta is better than people think. And I think Penix is going to be a franchise quarterback. I like him a lot. I'm not gonna bet against him. And it looks like, and I thought it was 50-50 this morning, but now it looks like, as far as the quarterback situation is concerned, that it's going to be Mac Jones.
Yeah, at 3-2, the Falcons are. So
I knew they had a bye week in there, so I knew it was different.
Well, we'll see. I'm going to take a shot by myself on that one, and we'll see how that one plays out. How about this for an ugly game?
Brandon, before you jump ahead, Tom, can I add something here?
Yeah, please.
From last night's game?
Yeah. You had the. By the way, you had the Bengals. You had the Bengals.
That's fine. That's over.
I know, but I went with you, and I said I wouldn't. I didn't want to bet the Bengals, but I go. You know what? Damn it! I'm going to go with the Bengals, and it's always fun to go into the weekend 1-0.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot more fun. Or at 6 a.m. being 1-0 after that.
That's I love waking up 1-0.
So my relationship with John Madden was kind of pinned on 6 or 8 events that didn't go well for us as friends. And one of them was the Raiders were 13-1-1 in the 70s on Monday Night Football. And their only loss was Alex Karras' first game on the Monday Night Crew in Buffalo to open the 74 season. And how that game went, it was Joe Ferguson versus Stabler. It was back and forth defensively. OJ was coming off his 2,003-yard season the year before, and he was held to 74 yards that night, although he was injured. Jim Braxton did most of the running, and with just 2 minutes left, and we were down 14-13, John decided to punt after Kenny missed on 3 passes. And so he punted, and on second down, Braxton fumbled, and Art Tom scooped it up and started heading up the sidelines 60 yards. And I stood up in the press box and said to myself, lay down at the 1, lay down at the 1, lay down at the 1. There was 1:14 left on the clock. Lay down at the 1, right? Because then you reduce it to a Blanda field goal on 4th down with no time left. Lay down at the 1. Into the end zone he goes. Scores a touchdown. The Joe Ferguson comes back. Ahmad Rashad. He had 1:14 on the clock when he got the ball. Didn't even need to use one of his timeouts, and got the Bills into the end zone. And we lost the game 21-20. So we're flying home. Before we left the runway there, I'm sitting in my chair, which was always across from John. And my job with Madden was keep him calm during the flight. He didn't like flying.
Yeah.
So I would always say nice things to him, like Hank said that, Hank Silverman, the pilot, that bump was going to happen, that kind of thing. Just make it up as we go. And so anyway, we're on we lose this game, and disappointed as can be, of course. I'm sitting already in my seat. John comes in and sits down next to me. And I said, this is one of the 6 reasons why Matt and I didn't get along great. I said, God damn it, I wish he would have just laid down at the 1. I mean, Art, if he would have laid down, what the fuck are you talking about? And, and I realized this guy just lost his opening game. And I'm 24 years old, telling him how they could have won it, And he said, "You can't tell a kid not to score. You can't tell a kid not to score." And I, stepping one more foot forward into this mess,
should have you had to do it, didn't you?
I said, "We could have won." Oh, I think the last thing he said was, "Fuck you, Dennis." I think that's what the last thing was that he said.
Sounds
And
very
then
bad.
the plane started to move. And it's interesting. A terrified person can't intimidate you,
Yeah.
So that was the end of being terrified by John. But that was one of the incidents. Now, last night in the game,
Yep.
T. Higgins has an opportunity to go in the end zone and slides down, and everybody spends the whole post-game show talking about how brilliant it was. That was a play because you didn't give, Aaron
Pittsburgh.
Rodgers 2 minutes to come back and score a potential winning. If you would have gone up by 6, and you would have probably gone for 2, so it would have either been 5 or 7 that you would have been ahead.
Yep.
But you didn't open that door up. You reduced it to a field goal. Now, if the field goal would have been missed, it would have been a different post-game interview going on, and what they would have said was he could have scored the touchdown, it didn't, and it would have been different. But so I'm sitting here, 50 years later, saying, "See, John, see that's what I was." And they do that routinely now, And as T said in the post-game interview, it was coached into him. In fact, before they took the ball in the last series, they said, "If you get open and you're in field goal range, go down. Don't go in the end zone. Go down." At the 5, they actually said at the 5. I'm trying to look around. Lulu.
I'm bad. I can hear you. You know what? It's getting close to 2:00. So Lulu's like, you know what?
So anyway, you notice how common that is that they do that.
Yeah.
And yet it was one of the few points I could point out where John and my relationship went south. But,
well, you know what? Maybe they should point out, hold on to the ball until you get across the goal line. Maybe that's one they can point out too.
The Colts have done it twice in 2 years.
It's unbelievable. I know Taylor did it last year against Denver.
Turned the game against Denver last year. That was going to put them up, and they never scored again and gave up 30 points and lost to Denver. And then against the Rams in a nip and tuck game.
Yeah.
If I was
Mitchell,
a coach, I would say take the ball back to the bench. Do not spike it. Do not give it up. I want the ball in that bag after you score a touchdown.
You know what I would do? You know how Notre Dame has the play like a champion and they touch it before they go out into the field?
Yeah.
I'd make sure you cross the fucking goal line with the ball. Touch it and go on the field. It's unbelievable that you got to actually tell players this. It's incredible. It's incredible that that's something as a coach you would think, what? I got to tell these guys this? I got so much stuff I need to convey to the players, and I got to tell them this too?
Last year, the running back got loose. It was a fine play, and he got loose and went up the sidelines and went in and let it go. But this play, this year against the Rams, tremendous catch.
Yep.
Would have gone down as with Beckham and everything else. It was a great catch. And he broke it, and then now he's the ball. And
then DeMarcado basically caught. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened in that game, but they're going to be up 28-6 against Tennessee. That game is over. And that started the dominoes. And then Arizona did what Arizona does. All right, let's get to some more games this weekend. I'm glad you brought that up, though, because T. Higgins, I remember seeing Stanford do that. Of course it was Stanford against ASU many, many years ago. They're one of the first teams I saw do that, and I go, well, of course Stanford's doing that. They're smart. They know what they're doing. They're not going to run into the end zone. I think they were up 1, and they didn't want to score because then ASU could come down and score, get a 2 and tie them.
Run out the clock.
So they just tell they just said, kneel to the 1, and boom, we're done with the game. God, I'd really like to take the Browns this week against the Dolphins. I know it's a rookie quarterback. I know the weather's not supposed to be great up there, which is perfect because the Dolphins never play well in any kind of weather. Tua hasn't been great this year anyway, but in weather, I'm sure it'll be even worse. I don't know that I love laying points with a rookie quarterback. That doesn't excite me all that much. Judkins has been okay. The passing game is basically throw it to the tight ends, whether it's, Fannin or Njoku. But do you have any interest in this one? Because I'd like to take the Browns, but I don't know that I don't know that I want to lay points with a rookie quarterback.
It's interesting where you find spots to take weak teams, Tom. It interests me greatly. I know 2 weeks ago when we had our bad week and our two losses were the Jets over Dallas and Cincinnati over Detroit.
Yep.
And I note that since that game, those two games, Cincinnati's 2-0 against the spread against Green Bay and Pittsburgh. And the Jets are 1-0, and they're going to be 2-0. We'll talk about it a little bit later in the show after this week. Now Cleveland, they were in a good spot last week against Pittsburgh. That was a real good spot for them. And they got 23-9, just drummed down. I like their coach. I keep thinking things are going to come together for them.
Yeah.
I think Dylan Gabriel is a good young quarterback. I think he's going to be okay. I'm not sure he's a franchise guy, but he's the kind of guy that can win you some football games.
Yeah.
He looks to manage the game well. But I'm not interested in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Why? Sometimes I ask myself when I'm on a team like Cleveland or something, I say, is there a better chance to take Cleveland than when they're a favorite?
Yeah, that would be yes.
Yeah,
that would be yes. That would be the answer to that's yes. Well, I mean, the damn. The Dolphins were up 17 points over the Panthers on the road a couple weeks ago and got drummed. So
they did get up by 17 points or whatever, the 17-7.
They did.
There's two sides of this stuff. The Dolphins were within a step out of bounds of beating New England. They've been right on the cusp. This Dolphins team is lower middle, but not bad. Just lower middle.
Yeah.
And Cleveland has not proven to me that they're not bad. Baltimore has one win, 41-10 over Cleveland.
That's right.
I just this Cleveland team, and do you think they're watching Baker Mayfield and his success in Tampa Bay going, isn't that the guy we drafted?
Yeah.
Who's quarterbacking us here?
I know I'm going to hate asking this, but because I really don't want to take the Titans this week. Maybe I do. I don't know. I know I don't. I'd like to go against the Patriots. That was the one loss they had last week. I was on that too. That was the one game I really liked. That was my favorite game of the weekend. The Saints over the Patriots. Yeah, and they ended up losing. They're close, but not close enough. So offense kind of shut down in the second half. This week, Patriots back on the road again, facing, and I would imagine there's probably an extra half point or so thrown into this spread because it's a quote unquote Mike Vrabel revenge game coming back to Tennessee. I don't even know how much that plays in. That matters. I know Tennessee's terrible. They didn't deserve to cover against Arizona. That was more about the Cardinals just being the Cardinals. But 7 points is a lot of points on the road. And you're going to go back-to-back road games now. Again, there's a piece of me that's like, just take the Titans and be done with it. There's another piece of me that goes, oh, do I really want to take the Titans? The only way I'll take the Titans if you say, I'm on the Titans. And I'm really hoping you're not on the Titans. Are you on the Titans?
I think it was 1984. Uh-oh. I had a friend who was a client in Boston, a real gambler, not you and I betting on games, a big time player.
Got it.
Time player, and he had experts that he used for different sports, and I was honored to be his NFL guy. But he had a baseball guy that he swore by. He said, "This is the man. This is the man." And professional gamblers, baseball is their game. That's the one more than anything. We know that college football and pro football are the most wagered on. but the professional gamblers, baseball is their game. In any case, that year, and I think it was 84, that year his guy was hooked on the Pittsburgh Pirates. He said the Pirates are the team. He said the Pirates are the team. And the Pirates lost every day. They lost every day. Now there's value in the line, Tom told me, another Tom.
Yeah.
Tom told me there's more value now. We're getting 320. I'm ready to do, and the Pirates killed him. And put the gambler's relationship with this guy out because of that season, because he just said he never got off them. He never got off the Pirates, and it cost Tom a bazillion dollars. So I tell you that because the Tennessee Titans are doing the same thing to professional gamblers the last 2 seasons. I look at this, and I was on the Titans in the opening game last year. They were my top pick against the Chicago Bears when they became the first team ever to give up a 17-point lead without having their opponent score an offensive touchdown. The only time
Will
that's
Levis.
And after the game, their coach said, if we just punted every time and never worried about putting our offense in the field, we would have won.
Exactly.
So that starting with that game, and I bet them a couple more times last year. I thought they were in good spots. They let us down. They got a couple wins for us this year. They beat Denver against the spread. Was it the Titans that beat the spread on opening day? They got us that way. But then I said, that's it. I watched and I look at the numbers and I know who the public's betting on, and they're betting against the Titans every week. And I know who the wise guys are betting on, and they're betting on the Titans every week. And I think it's the 84 Pirates. That it ain't going to happen, And so change coaches, have at it, rookie quarterback. Oh yeah, that's it. I mean, last week I couldn't believe that they were all over the Titans. The line went down to 3.5 on the Raiders versus the Titans. And I kept looking at saying to Kevin, I want to take the Raiders here. Yeah. But they've won 4 in a row and they're favored, and that seems weird. Weird or not, give me the Raiders. Well, the truth of the matter is the final score was 20-10. So you say, okay, well, the Raiders won by 10. They covered the 3.5-point line. Yeah, in other words, they were a score away from giving that one away too, to a real bad Titans team. So I'm not on the Titans. I'm not. You have that rule where I'm not on the Bengals. But I'm not on the Titans. I'm good. They're going to have to show me something before I step into that.
No, that's where I'm at. You got to show me first before I. And trust me, I remember that game last year because I like that game. You like that game, so I go, great. This is perfect. Take Titans against the Bears. They were in great position, going to cover. And then anybody who's not a Titans fan, who wouldn't normally watch Tennessee Titan games, got really familiar with how awful Will Levis is. Just god awful. There's a reason he's not there anymore. I don't even know if he's in the league anymore, but oh my God, this guy, just hold on to the ball, throw it to your own team, and then punt the ball. You'll be fine. He couldn't do it. Bears came back and won. It was inexplicable.
It's like colorblind. It's like they look at the wrong colored uniforms. There's a guy open. That's a defender.
Oh my God. Great mayonnaise commercial though. Not a good quarterback. All right. Well, let's get to the Jets game this weekend as they play the Panthers.
Love the Jets.
Okay. Let's all right. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Well, here's the situation with the Jets is they go to London and we had them, and they get minus 10 yards passing, pass for 45, get sacked for 55. It's beautiful. Less than 100 yards rushing, 8 first downs, 7 first downs for the whole game. And that's all people are talking about is, so we went from them being favored over the Cowboys and bet on by both the public and the wise guys thinking, oh yeah, this is their spot, to going against Denver and 13-11. We had 7 points, easy, right? Yep. I mean, it always stayed right there. We got that first turnover and kicked a field goal to take the lead. but at the same time, you're sitting there watching that offense go, oh my goodness, you know. And you know, in the words of Brian's son, you know, just punt. Don't even try that. You know, don't run a play. Just punt. Put the defense back out there. So in any case, they covered that. Now they're 0-6. One more skinny branch out there. The only undefeated, the only winless team. And as I've said it in the past, you know, it's tough to be the last undefeated team. And it's just as tough to be the last winless team. There's a way that doesn't last too long. Those two things get equaled off. The two teams that won. Rosie's knocking at the door here. My dog is knocking at the door. So the two. I'm going to let stop her from scratching on it. Just
yeah. No. Hey, look. If anybody understands having to placate their animals, it's me. I mean, look what I'm dealing. Look what I'm dealing with here. Look what I'm dealing with.
So anyway, so we look at the Jets in London, and they lose. But hey, how about their defense? They held the Broncos. 12 first downs, 1 touchdown. You know, 1 touchdown and 2 field goals. Their defense played well. Now what we've got is them coming from their ride home from the London, not happy. Nowhere to hide. You can't say, well, if only that would have happened, or we could have had that break. No. You're 0-6. There's nowhere to hide. And here comes the Carolina Panthers. How do you think the Panthers flew into town? You know, they got on a plane probably tomorrow morning out of Carolina. But they're going to come into New York 3-3. So good. Here we go. We're favored on the road. We're going to win. No, you're not. No, you're not. And here's the other thing to look at is the Carolina Panthers are 3-0 at home and 0-3 on the road. And in their 3 road games, they've been outscored by 50 points. This team doesn't travel. And the Jets are at home and, New York.
God, hopefully somebody's coached up Aaron Glenn on how to coach. Between now and Sunday. I mean, what are you doing at halftime? Just let the clock run out. Don't even throw a Hail Mary. At the least, throw a Hail Mary. You're 0-4. Do something. Don't just walk off the field. I mean, come on. That was embarrassing, Dennis. Like I can't imagine if I'm a player on that team. I'm going, are we sure he knows what he's doing? Like, what are we doing here? And they did a fake punt before that. It's like you're going to risk giving the ball back to the Broncos at like your own 37, 38-yard line. And then when you get close to midfield, you're going to just go, nah, we're good. Like he said he didn't know if it was first down or fourth down. So you're going to let the clock run out on first down too? Oh, God. So I agree with you. I like this play. I'll probably go with it, but he does not inspire a lot of confidence in me. And I hope that hasn't affected the team going forward. Like, what do we do? Does this guy know what he's doing?
Oh, you mean this isn't a good team? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's not a good team, but it's I gotta at least believe my coach knows what he's doing. I don't know if that's the case anymore.
It's so interesting. I'm a fan of the NFL Network. I think they do a good job on, you know.
They do.
So when I'm in the car now with nothing else to listen to in the Bay Area, now that you're not there, so I listen to the NFL Network when I'm in the car, and they cover this stuff so well. And I was going to make a point there that I've already forgotten, but it just it's oh yeah, I know that I was going to say they do camps at the beginning of each season. They go in and they do it, and their Jets camp sounded like Fantasyland. I mean, Aaron Glenn is the second coming. This team is ready to go. Their defense is good. It's been underutilized. We're really looking forward to a great year. We think this is going to be great. This is the first time Justin Fields has ever really had a team that is totally committed to. Well, I think the Bears were committed to him, but they didn't mention that day, you know. But and so I listened to that and went, boy, that's a lot of enthusiasm for a team that doesn't win, you know. And so far, that's been the side of the equation that's shown up more than anything else. But They won for us last week. They're going to win for us this week.
All right. Before we let you go, I'm going to let you choose either one more game you're interested in, or you can talk me off of the Saints, who they're my team this year that I feel like I want to bet them. And we had them last week. We lost last week. I might want to come right back at them this week. They're not good. I know that, but I think they're better than people think they are. I think Rattler's better than people think he is. I think they got 2 running backs now with Kamara and Miller. And there's something about the Saints that I look at and go, I wonder if they're still a little undervalued. And I'm still not quite there on the Bears yet, although I'm kind of warming to them. But, Caleb Williams is still kind of hit or miss with his accuracy and stuff like that. He doesn't run the ball. He doesn't use his legs as much as maybe I think he should, but whatever. Any thoughts on this game? Or if not, you can pick one that you find
we'll do this
interesting.
As far as the Saints are concerned, they were in a great spot last week.
They were.
That was a great spot. And we really lost it on 2 plays. We lost it by giving up the touchdown at the end of the first half. Didn't need to do that. Didn't need to give up a 40-yard pass for a touchdown, And the other one was 5 minutes, 34 seconds or so left in the game. And we get a first down at the 50-yard line, and we're down by 5. So there's still enough time that you're going to kick a field goal if you get in a field goal range. It's not like you have to go for the touchdown yet. If it's a field goal range, you're going to cut it to 2. And they fumble. He makes the first down and then fumbles, and then the other team comes back and scores. And so those 2 plays is what took us out of the thing. Well, that's my concern is I wonder if the Saints will always have a play in them that takes away a win. I think they're the right side of this play. So if I need it, as I say, bus stick out of Bakersfield on this game, I'm going to take the Saints with the short spread against the Bears coming off their big 25-24 win, on the road over Washington on Monday night. Yeah. So that's the side to be on. But now I'm going to bet on Rattler on the road with a 1-11 lifetime record. Maybe not. And the Bears are coming. The Bears are that far away. If Caleb Williams continues to develop, Ben Johnson, those were the 2 big hires right off the Detroit staff. Aaron goes to New York, and Ben goes to Chicago, and Ben looks like he's got a pretty good handle on this thing. Aaron will look better after this week, So in that situation, I'm not ready to take Kellen Moore on the road as a rookie coach, the other rookie coach in this spot. I maybe I don't have courage to take the team that beat me last week, although that's usually my trump card. As I said with the Jets and the Bengals. Whenever I look back at a season when it's all done, and I go, well, look we thought they were going to win that day, and they didn't, and then they win the next 4 weeks. It's like,
exactly.
Boom, 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 there it is. And where am I the next 4 weeks? Well, I'm worried about what they did 4 weeks ago. No. So I'm not going to back off the Saints because they lost last week. But I think it was interesting. It was against New England, who we thought we had in a real tough spot. And now New England stretches that rubber band 1 more week. And so, we'll take Tennessee over New England. Is that what it is this week? Is it Tennessee that New England's playing?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, no, we don't want that, So anyway, so I'm not going to be on this game unless I see something break tonight. If 74% of the public is on Chicago and the line drops a half point, I'll be on New Orleans.
Got it. And again, any other games you want to get to that kind of pique your interest?
I love a bunch of them this week. I love.
All right, give me one. Give me one. I don't want you to give out all your games.
Let me see if I can give you. Here we go. So on Monday night, right? Was it Thursday night? I should say. When the New York Giants were upsetting the Philadelphia Eagles a week ago Thursday. Kirk. Al Michaels' partner there was it?
Yep.
Al Michaels'
partner? Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah. good announcer, good guy. I'm sure. I don't know him personally, but it seems like a really good guy. From in any case, he gets excited and says, "Now we don't want to overreact to this, but Jesus, the kids won 3 games in a row." Talking about Jackson Dart, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, won 3 games in a row. Let's go to the stats, people. Yeah, no. He won a game, and then he turned the ball over 5 times and lost, and lost
to the Saints.
And now he's beating the Eagles, who we saw in a trap in that particular game, coming in undefeated, and lost to the Broncos the week before. They had one loss. So anyway, Jackson Dart looks great, but it's still the New York Giants. They've got 2 wins, and they did it in spots where teams were in their own trap, that fed the Giants' success and Dart's success. Now they go to Denver, and Denver has maybe the best defense in the league this year, Tom.
I'm still here.
Lulu,
I'm right here.
I'm just letting you know, Lulu, that don't look at Tom.
Really,
I'm talking. Lulu, I'm talking.
Really a nuisance today. He really is.
Very. Is she a Bronco fan?
I don't know.
So anyway,
no, she's a food fan. Is what she's a fan of. And I don't know how she knows it. I got her on my lap. I got a damn bunny over here chewing a pillow. It's a whole zoo over here. I don't know what's going on. No, they haven't killed anything lately, thank God. There must have been a family of field mice around here because they got 3 of them in 2 days. And they got a lizard yesterday. Yeah, they got a lizard yesterday.
Covered wagon going through town that the Indians took out.
The cats are not pacifists at all.
So anyway, now you got Denver at home.
Yeah.
Who knows now that the Kansas City Chiefs are not going away. And they're tied with the Los Angeles Chargers, who have lost a couple in a row, barely got by the Dolphins last week. And so we're in a situation where Denver's just going to handle them. Denver's inspired to play a rookie quarterback at Mile High Stadium. Give me an inspired defense with an offense that only got 12 first downs last week. This is 34-3. This is easy. This is when I say easy, I don't mean it's easy to bet on or anything. I just say this is not a game where I think we're going to be, gnawing at our nails, for the day. I think it'll be 7-0, 10-0, 17-0, 17-3, 24-3, 31-3, 31-6, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just think that it's just Denver all day.
No, I agree with you. I do like that one. And let's be honest. I mean, the Eagle game was a lot about their defense and a lot about Cam Scatterbo. Jackson Dart's been fine. He's been okay, but I think a lot of it is it's not Russell Wilson. It's like anything other than Russell Wilson, people are going to be like, "Oh my God, he's been amazing. It's been fine." And that it's for a rookie, he's played fine. But yeah, I agree with you on this one. I think Denver needs to get right, and I think being back at home will help him do that. Well, have a good weekend. I gotta go feed this. I mean, she's like, again, I think you saw more of her during this segment.
I'm not going to say whether that was a benefit or not, though, Tom.
Well, it probably was for you. For you, you got to look at the better end. I got to look at her ass for like 20 minutes. I mean, nothing against you, Lou. I love you and everything. And here's the bunny sitting just right over here. It just, again, I don't know what's going on. The bunny usually doesn't come and hang out with me. She's around, but she's very engaged. I don't know. Maybe she likes the Broncos too. She seemed to be very interested in that wager. So we're going to see. I'm going to ask her. I'm going to consult with the bunny after the show and see where she's at. But she's a menace right now. Oh my God. Have a great weekend. Again, it is picksfootball.com, Quad Size Sports, and much like Dr. Bob, a lot of really good material on there. A lot of breakdowns of the games, write-ups of some of the games, explanations. And I tell people that even if you're not a wager, If you're not a gambler like me, you just wager. I'm gonna get that slogan on a T-shirt. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm not a gambler. I just like to wager.
I just bet on games.
I don't gamble. I just wager.
Well, your phone message, when you call your number, it's there. It says,
I don't like to bet.
Well, you said
no. I said if I was a betting man.
That's right. If I was betting, and I might be, I'd bet on the latter.
Yeah, I guess I kind of stepped in it on that one. Oh well, what are you gonna what are you gonna do? I can only think so clearly with Lulu on my lap for the last half an hour, begging to be fed. So again, it's Quackside Sports, pigsfootball.com. If you guys want to go check it out, Dennis would appreciate it. And I just think it'd be fun for you guys if you're football fans to go check it out. Dennis, have a great weekend. Let's get some more winners. We already got one in the bank this week, and we'll look forward to doing it again next week.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Good talking to you.
Thanks, Dennis. I appreciate it. Say goodbye, Lou. You hogged up all the interview as it was. Literally, the bunny's down. I don't know what the bunny's doing. We have like little lanterns that bunny's taking off the table here and nibbling at. It's a zoo. Real quick before I go, fucking Dodgers. I'm just so tired. And they don't even have anybody to hate on the team. Muncie's kind of hateable, but they seem like cool dudes, but it's the Dodgers. I'm just tired. And when you have that type of pitching, you're not going to lose. I mean, the Reds did a better job against them offensively. That's because they had such big leads. They put their bullpen in. The starting pitching has been just insane. I think they've given up 10 runs in 9 games. 10 runs in 9 games. That's what the Dodgers starters have given up so far in the playoffs. The Dodgers are 8-1 in the playoffs. So, and they just got Ohtani going today. Nobody has that. I don't know when the last time a team has had that. This type of starting pitching. Maybe it was the Phillies team that the Giants beat. Who did they have on that team? They had Halladay, Oswalt. I think Cliff Lee was on that team. Joe Blanton may have been a starter on that team. I'm not sure. But I want to say those were the big ones. Or maybe there's one I'm missing. Oswalt, Halladay, Cliff Lee. But nobody has the starting pitching they have. Nobody. I mean, Ohtani. You're up 3-0 and you can go to Ohtani. Glasnow, I think, has given up 1 earned run in the playoffs. Yamamoto's given up a few, and Snell's given up, I think, none. Maybe 1. It's embarrassing. They're not even hitting. They're averaging 3 runs a game, I think, over the last. I think I added it up. If you take off the Red Series, go Phillies, Brewers, I think they have 21 runs in 7 games. 3 runs a game. They've given up 18. And that was with an 8 spot to the Phillies in the 1 game they lost. So if you take out the 8 spot, that's 6 games. They've given up 10 runs. You're not beating that team. And they haven't even done anything offensively once they got by the Reds. So I guess everyone's going to be a Blue Jays fan or a Mariner fan, one or the other. At least that's going to be a series. It is a series. Blue Jays starting to hit now. God, Vlad is on fire. That guy's incredible right now. He's fun to watch. So anyway, I think are both games today? I got a Warrior game tonight. Our last preseason game, Warriors Clippers, and we'll do a little of that on Monday. We'll talk to Brent, and then we'll do a little preview. Not a comprehensive preview. Just I'll give you the teams, what I think of them, and who's going to be. And I think the Warriors have a shot this year. Real quick, somebody asked me this. Yeah, look, I mean, it's ridiculous. Somebody asked me about the Warriors, like, are they legit championship contenders? Yes. Are they favorites? No. Are they contenders? Yes. Anybody that's under 20 to 1. Cole Hamels. There you go. Thank you, Andres. Yes. Cole Hamels. Like that. I mean, that was incredible. I'm not even sure that is this, though. Maybe. I have to go back and look. But anywho. Yeah, I don't know if we have both games. I think we have both games today. I know we have Dodgers can wrap it up today. Yeah. So you got the 2-3-2 format. Mariners need to get back to Toronto. Hey, get back north of the border. So they were doing their winning. No home teams won in that series. So the Dodgers are minus 200. You have Quintana versus Ohtani. What happened to the? I mean, they're pitching. The Brewers pitching. I mean, once Woodruff went out, it's like it's kind of embarrassing. 2 of the first 3 games you have bullpen games, opener games in the NLCS. And look, Milwaukee has to do what they have to do, but it's just embarrassing for baseball. Like, hey, biggest stage, NLCS. Who's pitching? Ashby. Who? The reliever? They're gonna do it 2 out of 3 games? Not a fan. Not a fan at all. So, anywho, you ready to eat? Are you hungry? Uh-oh. You are, aren't you? Aren't you? You're like, hey, go, stop it. Stop. Okay, that's enough. Okay. Jesus. That's like very close to a felony. Okay? Certainly a misdemeanor, but I said no. It's very close. You're gonna have to watch yourself. I'll put you in doggy jail. All right, let's go do it. Let's go feed you. All right, thanks for joining, everybody. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show. Greg Cosell was a lot of fun to watch, and we'll have have that up and packaged for you. You want your picks, you want your college football picks, along with Niners, Dr. Bob. You want your NFL picks, Dennis Ranahan. You want your NFL breakdown on Mac Jones and why the Niners having a hard time running the football and stuff like that. You can check out my guy Greg Cosell. He does it. I just love Greg. Love talking to Greg. Hopefully we can do it every now and again, but we will see. So thank you for joining, everybody. I really appreciate it. Subscribe, like, grab some field work for the weekend too. Why don't you? And if you happen to be down in San Jose checking out the Sharks, which you won't be for quite some time because they're on the road now. They are visiting the Mammoth, the Utah Mammoth. So, but when they come back, you can grab yourself a non-alcoholic beer. They have other selections too down there. I told Barry, get me a list of what they have down there. I can pump that up for you as well, since I enjoy all field work offerings. And so, but they're out of town, so you can still go to field work. You can go to field work over in Berkeley. They're all over the Bay Area. So check out, I'll have a list. I should get a list. I only go to Berkeley, but I should have a list where they're at. So field work, the official non-alcoholic beer of the San Jose Sharks. You ready? I think you are. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you.